So before we remove the manifold, we need to disconnect a couple of things. There is a rail pressure control valve connector here. Now, you can disconnect it with battery still connected to the vehicle power, but you will get a code and you'll have to reset it after. So you have to have means of doing it, or you can disconnect the battery and then disconnect. So any electrical connector you disconnect, you'll get a code. For boost sensor, just hold the boost sensor with one hand and then press and pull. Could be a bit tight, you have to wiggle it a bit, just be careful. And then rail pressure sensor, there is a connector on the front side of the connector, so you have to kind of be creative how you disconnect it, but same thing, you press and disconnect. It's a little bit easier and just pull. You can see where the tab is. You have two brackets to disconnect. It's two bolts. There's a bolt here on the dipstick, this plastic bracket, and then this vacuum line that goes to the brake booster. There is a bolt on the back side of the manifold here, so you have to get it out. I think they're both either 10 or 12 millimeters. For the back bolt, just use a short stubby socket. Dipstick, use a longer socket, so because it's kind of inset here, and then you could also crack it. So now we're going to remove the swirl flap motor. So it's got two connectors, two clips like this, one on this side, one on the other side. On the other side it's almost impossible to reach, so I kind of do it one at a time. Press one, pull one side, and then feel out, press another side, and do that. So it might look easy, but that's basically the deal. So it's got, just to show, two little tabs like this, and it's impossible to reach one from the other side, so you're gonna have to use small pick tool or screwdriver and pick it through. And next we're going to move on to ASV connection, or intercooler cold line connection. So there's a couple of things here that needs to be done. Of course, this vehicle has EGR basically removed or whatever. This is a factory EGR, but it's got plugs in it and no EGR motor. EGR motor is disconnected, so on factory car you would need to disconnect EGR motor plug. This is a very similar connection as on the swirl flap motor, so similar, two tabs, you can push them and then slide it out. Before you slide it out, you could either pull this little clip out, or you can disassemble it. It's probably easier, so you don't have to break it, and then just free up the loom and then put it aside this way. You could hook it up to something. Just careful, don't break this. And then this is the EGR temperature sensor connector, so you can disconnect it. Oh yeah, this one is a difficult one. I usually just pull it out like that. Pull this connection out as well. They get brittle over time and easy to break, but so you just want to free up this loom like that. And then we don't disconnect any of these Allen bolts. We just kind of disconnect the whole thing and then lift it as part of, together with a manifold. So now we're going to work on this T-clamp, and that doesn't come on a factory connection, so that's a little bit of a different. Factory's easy, it's just a little clip, and you could pull it, put it aside. So we've got all these bolts now to remove. So these are 10 millimeters. There's 12 of these, and then there's 7 of the 11 millimeter nuts all inside, and there's one at the back. That's why we disconnected that connector. So we're going to remove those. They shouldn't be too tight. I believe they're at about 8 pounds-foot torque or 10 pound-foot torque. So to crack them open, we'll just undo them, and then this bracket stays together with the whole assembly. So we're gonna do the middle ones here, and then we're gonna do the top ones after that. We'll show you how to remove the manifold after that. And we already disconnected the ASV connection here. This is the ATM connection as mentioned before. This one, you just feel it on. It's got a bit of a shaft on there, and you just put it on and then take it off. What I would suggest then is, once you crack it open, is do it by hand and then hold the nut so it doesn't fall. Or you could put a rag behind there and then make sure that you don't lose the nut, so you don't have to fish for it after. These, you can just do it by hand, and you can leave them there And then what you can do is just get a rag, like an odd rag or whatever. You can just do it like that, and also pick it off with a magnetic tool after. And pick these nuts, collect them from all the holes. I'm going to undo these 12 bolts. So same thing, just crack them. One thing here to note is that it goes on the third one from the back. This is for your engine cover, so it just slots in. So just remember before you tighten that one to slot this in, it kind of goes straight. Otherwise, you won't be able to put that last Allen bolt for your actual one of the two for the back engine cover. So just remember this one. Okay. So I think we've disconnected everything. These bolts, they just need to pull out. Well, pull up like this, not pull out fully. You don't need to pull them out. They'll just hold. Just make sure they're all free. Like that. All the nuts are gone from here. ASV is disconnected. Boost sensor disconnected. Swirl flap motor disconnected. Rail pressure control valve disconnected. This bracket disconnected for the dipstick, and the bracket that holds this vacuum line is disconnected. And then you go from the side, watch this battery cable, and just lift it up carefully, up, and then to the side, like this. Just watch your gaskets, make sure that nothing gets dropped, and then lift it up like that, and you're good. Make sure all your gaskets are in place. The round gaskets on round ports, and the square gaskets on square ports. This one's already has swirl flaps deleted, so you can see the blanking plates on it, and make sure all these round washers are on there as well, so nothing's missing. Still got a motor on here with a rod, which is okay. Everybody decides what they want to do with it or not. I think we're ready to put the manifold back on. What's important is to slide it underneath the battery cable. We also put silicone spray on the rubber gaskets, so they slide nicer and they don't kink and don't catch. Try to see where the rods are so we don't have to go right from above. Make sure they're all on. There we go. So it's seated. I would suggest that at this point we're gonna tighten these first a little bit just to pull it up, and then we're gonna evenly put it against the head. We put all the 7 nuts just lightly, and now we're putting these just gently. You gotta be careful not to misthread. You want to push on the top of the manifold just to kind of put this towards the valve cover or the head. So we have fitted a manifold back in. These top bolts get torqued at 10 Newton meters, and the inside 11 millimeter ones get torqued to 15 Newton meters. Remember to connect the rail pressure control valve on the back here. Boost sensor. We have also reconnected the bracket back for the dipstick holder, and then this bracket here for the vacuum line. Just be careful here. It's kind of the bolt is on the top, quite high, so there's a lot of little holes and things like that you can get into, but just it's kind of very high up there. Then we fitted our ATM ambient thermal management cold boost elbow. Remember to connect your ASV, all the little clips, connectors, all the wiring loom.